Good evening. Today I'm speaking to Awais Khan. Hiya, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Of course, thank you so much, Donna, for having me here today. So my name is Awais Khan, and I am an author, and I'm also the founding director of the Writing Institute. I'm the author of In the Company of Strangers, which came out in 2019, and it's done really well critically and commercially. And I'm also the author of the upcoming No Honor that's being published by Orenda Books in August 2021. So yeah.
Did you always want to be a writer?
Oh no, I had no idea actually. I never thought I'd be a writer. I was always a very avid reader. So I've been reading for as long as I can remember. As a child, I remember my parents would take me to a toy shop and I'd insist on going to a bookshop because I love the Enid Blyton, Famous Five, Secret Seven, and all of that. So I grew up reading that. So I don't think it didn't occur to me until I was in college in Canada that I could write something one day as well. And I think that's where the seeds were sown. And it wasn't until I was in my mid 20s that I really decided that I'd like to pursue this. So yeah, so it wasn't a conscious decision at all. I mean, it was and it wasn't, something like that.
So what did make you take the plunge and go for it?
Surprisingly, it was a course. So I was always very hesitant about my writing, and I was never confident that I was good enough. And yeah, I never really thought of writing seriously. But I remember it was their debut course. Faber Academy had just launched their online novel writing course, the 6-month one, and it was their first time around. And I just saw it one fine day, and I was like, wouldn't it be great to just enroll and see where it goes? That was in 2012, and that's when I enrolled, and they took me on. And there was no looking back because it was such an amazing course. They were so focused. The peers that I had were so amazing. So we sort of became friends, and we just kept encouraging each other even after the course had ended. And that's how I finally produced In the Company of Strangers. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. So yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about that and about your new book as well?
Yes, of course. So In the Company of Strangers is a very contemporary look at Pakistan. It's like it's a story of two people, Mona and Ali. So it's Mona is a very rich society lady, but is suffering from a failing marriage, and she's just not happy at all. And Ali is an up and coming model who is not very rich yet, but he is making a name for himself, and it's about how their paths cross and how sparks fly. And if I give out anything else, then I'll be spoiling it for everyone. So I leave it at that. But it's about the secrets and lies of Pakistan high society. And No Honor, on the other hand, is completely different. It's about the concept. It tackles the concept of honor killing in Pakistan. So it's a story about Abda, who's a 16-year-old girl who ends up getting pregnant out of wedlock. And she lives in a very rural part of Pakistan, and it's about how her life spirals out of control after that. And it's about her journey and how her father helps her at every step of the way. But it's also I mean, at times it's a disturbing story, but it's also a story of hope, of family, of forgiveness, of love. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything. So I can't give too much away. So yeah.
What was the research like for both of those books?
So for In the Company of Strangers, it was fairly straightforward because I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a part of the society. I'm not very social, but I did have a chance to move around a little bit in these gatherings, and I saw firsthand as to how people simply got away with things like domestic abuse and misogyny and shaming and all of that. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of show that these things exist in Pakistan, and that it's probably and how difficult life is for women in our country. And for No Honor, I had to do a lot of research because it was a topic totally foreign to me because I had spent time in rural Pakistan, but not that much. So I traveled to rural Pakistan as a matter of fact. So I did some interviews and I talked to people there. And what I discovered was really disheartening, and it really broke my heart. But I felt that it was very important to, where possible, to raise my voice against this gruesome practice that still continues to this day in Pakistan. So yeah, so that's where I got the inspiration from. And so yeah, I thought that it would be good to research this, because you never really know. You have to make sure that even if it's fiction, there should be some grounding in facts. So yeah.
And how did you come to start your own writing courses?
Once again, that was, I think, thanks to Faber Academy, because once I finished that course, I went to London again to do the editing course with them. So that was a few months, and I just realized that nothing like that existed in Pakistan. But Pakistan, a country of over 200 million people, and there is not a single degree in creative writing offered in Pakistan. And there are very few courses, like very basic courses, that are offered by universities, and that are only available to students that are in the university. So basically, if a person who's not in a university, if they want to learn how to write, if they want to study creative writing, they can't. So there's no way of doing that. So I was like, that's very unfair for people. So that's when I decided that I should launch something like that. And I started the Writing Institute with no expectation at all. I was like, if it's a failure, it'll be a failure, but at least I'd have tried. So I started it in 2016, and a lot of people told me that, what exactly are you doing? There's nobody here who wants to learn how to write. I mean, like, Pakistanis don't even read. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll give it a go. And the first few courses were quite were financial failures, but at least there were a few people there. But once word got out that something like this existed in Pakistan, people started arriving in droves, and my courses were literally always full, and they've been doing really well ever since. So yeah, so that's where the inspiration came from, and I'm really glad that it's the Writing Institute survived the pandemic as well. So so yeah.
And if you had any big successes in the back of it?
Well, I think one big success for me was that during the pandemic, I launched this Insta Live series for people, because there were no courses at that time, and we were just all locked up at home and everything. So I launched this Insta series where I talked to authors, to literary agents, to publishers about books and stuff. And that was a huge learning experience for a lot of people. And that was like 100% free. And in addition to that, I've had a huge success with my recent online courses, where I have had huge literary agents, publishers, mainstream publishers come in to do online master classes for a very reasonable price. So I class that as a major success for me, because I really wanted something like this to exist for people who can't afford pay hundreds of pounds for master classes. So literary agents and publishers have been very, very kind in this regard, in agreeing to join this. So yeah, and in general, the courses, yeah, they've been a success as well. So yeah.
And British people are allowed to enroll on that as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So my online courses are open to everyone all over the world. And like I said, I've had people like Juliet Mushins and PP Morgan do master classes for the Writing Institute, which think is a huge success for me. A Pakistani person who was a non-entity literally a couple of years ago. So yeah.
Are you surprised by your success in the UK?
I am, obviously, because first thing, a lot of people in the West have this perception that Pakistan is nothing but a bunch of shanty towns, and you know uh, they just have this impression thanks to media or something. So I'm always glad, and I'm really, but I'm not surprised, because before this, I'm on Twitter and on Instagram, and the people in the UK have been so kind to me, both authors and literary agents and publishers. They've all been extremely kind, and the writing community. I have some really amazing friends, as you know. We have some mutual friends there as well. So yeah, it always takes me by it took me by surprise that people were so welcoming to a person from Pakistan. And yeah, so it has been surprising, and it hasn't been surprising. So if it makes sense.
I see by your Instagram posts that you're obviously still an avid reader now, by how many books you buy daily, I think. And so what's some of the best
Sorry, I didn't catch your question.
what's some of the best books you've read recently?
Well, that's a very hard question to answer, because I don't want to anger the other authors whose books I've bought already. But yeah, I am buying. I've bought so many books recently that I was like, I have to. I literally sat myself down and I told myself off that I cannot afford another visit to the bookshop, given how I'm buying books and everything. But yeah, I think some books that I've really enjoyed recently, I'd say I read, as you know, our mutual friend Alan Gorvin. I've really enjoyed his books this year. I think Better Confess is a huge favorite of mine. I love A. Chaudhary's work, describe the abduction, and I've been lucky enough to read an early copy of her upcoming novel, She's Mine. So I'm really into thrillers. This is something that I've discovered about myself for the past 2 years, that I absolutely love thrillers. So I just give me any opportunity and I'll pick up a thriller. So I love Rob Parker's work. I mean, Donna Tartt, obviously, The Secret History is a huge favorite of mine, always has been. And yeah, I just can't. Yeah, Sonia Welton. I just read one of her books, The Image of Her. I really like that one. It's coming out soon in July. And yeah, I think Jessie Burton. I love her books as well. I can go on and on. So I'm just gonna stop.
I know I've seen a picture of all your books, and slight envy. It's pretty amazing.
I know. I mean, I just don't want to keep going on and on because I won't stop. So, yeah.
So, if you like reading thrillers, would you consider writing one yourself?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. I would love to if I could actually. I don't think. I mean, yeah, you could say that In the Company of Strangers is kind of a crime thriller or something. I mean, people do think it is. So I do think that I might have what it takes to write a thriller. So yeah, as they say never. So yeah, if I can figure it out, I'll definitely write a thriller someday.
You need to do a writing course specifically for thrillers or crime, and then
Mm.
you can learn as well, and then you can teach other people, and then everybody wins.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Actually, I never thought of that. I think that will be my next course. I'll be joining that as well. So yeah, I'm gonna ask someone to lead that course. Absolutely.
Good stuff. Just as long as I get credit somewhere, that's fine.
No, no, of course, of course.
I'm joking, it's fine. Would you like to be a character in either of your books?
Oh God, no, I don't think so. But I would love to have a cameo though. Cameo. I was like, I was talking to a producer the other day, and obviously the deal never happened because of COVID, because that was in March 2020, and they wanted to buy the film rights for In the Company of Strangers, and we had these meetings in London, and it was all looking very promising, and I was so excited. And he asked me that, would you like to play a character? I was like, I don't think I'm an actor, but I'd like to play cameo. I could be like a bartender or something like that. I'd be happy with that. So, but obviously that deal didn't happen because of pandemic happened literally a few weeks later and it fell through. So yeah. But if the opportunity arises, I'd love. I think I already told Alan that I'd love to play a bartender, the hotel receptionist in his novel Better Confess. So yeah.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
And is there any book in all of history that you'd like to have been a character in?
Oh yeah, I mean they've already made a series out of Harry Potter, obviously, but I would love to play Dumbledore. I'm, he is my favorite. I mean, we have this joke, I mean, among friends that I call myself Dumbledore. So yeah, you can imagine how much I like him. So that is one character I would love to play, even though I'm a bit young to play him right now, but still, yeah, if given the chance. Yeah.
That's a wicked answer. I love Harry Potter so much.
I know. It's like if you get me started on Harry Potter, then we'll be having this conversation into the wee hours of the morning or something.
Well, to be fair, it's already the wee hours of the morning for you. So.
Yeah, in Pakistan, yeah.
Did you get to visit the studios when you were over here?
Oh, yeah, don't get, yeah, I mean, that is a very prickly subject with me because every time I'm in London, the first thing I do is I try to book a tour for Warner Brothers and it's always booked out, totally booked. And I'm like, it's like this time, whenever London opens up, I'm going to book my ticket in advance and then come over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way. Yeah. Yeah, I've been maybe 3 times. Yeah, it's
Wow.
amazing.
You're making me very jealous right now.
I only live about, I think I live about half an hour away. So yeah, I'm very lucky. And yeah.
The only thing I can vouch for, I mean, the only thing I've seen is that platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross. So I got photographed there and all of that. So yeah, that's my claim to fame.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if you were able to travel anywhere in the world at the moment, would it be London first, or would there be somewhere else you'd like to go?
God, to be honest, it'll definitely be London. Even though I've always said that I'd love to visit Australia someday, and Iceland, and maybe northern Canada. Even though I've spent a lot of time in Canada, but still. But right now, if you ask me, the first thing I'd like to do is come to London because it's been so long, and I'm very used to visiting London. So you can imagine I'm like feeling very, even though London isn't home for me, but I'm feeling homesick. So it's kind of weird. So London would be on the top of my list right now.
And then pop over to Dublin to visit Al.
Unfortunately, I'm a Pakistani, so we need visas for this. So it's very difficult to get a visa for Ireland. So Alan is going to have to pop up to London in order to meet us.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's fine. We could drag him over.
Yeah, we can do that.
Bless him. If you're able to spend a day with any author, dead or alive, who would you like to spend a day with?
Oh, wow. I think I'd like to spend it with J.K. Rowling so that I can persuade her to write another Harry Potter book. Please, just for me, just for so many fans all over the world, just show us what happens next. I mean, and not as a play, as a proper novel, please. So yeah.
Absolutely, completely agree. If you read her crime books, her strike books?
I think I read the first two and then I sort of lost. I don't know. I just kept expecting it to be like Harry Potter, and I just kept getting disappointed. But I think I will pick it up again because they say that the fourth and fifth part are really nice, and they get like it really gains steam towards the end. So yeah, so that's on my huge TBR list.
Yeah, I call mine a TBR mountain now. It's not even a list or a pile, it's a mountain.
Absolutely. I'd like to call it my TBR volcano because it can erupt anytime given how many books there are there. So yeah.
What's been your favourite moment so far being an author?
Oh yeah, I think my favorite moment was the book launch at Foils. So I launched my book in the company of strangers with Alex Chaudhry, A. Chaudhry as she's called, at Foils in Charing Cross, and it was like a dream come true. It was like a proper launch with hundreds of people, and we had a reading and proper stage and a quick Q&A and a photographer taking pictures and then a signing. It was like literally every writer's dream, and I still whenever I remember that event, that time and that event, I sort of feel really nice about it, that at least I got to experience something like that. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And what's your biggest dream?
My biggest dream, oh god, that's a tough one. I don't know. I don't have any lofty dreams as such, but right now my immediate dream would be that I'd like to see myself on the Sunday Times bestseller list, or maybe the Irish Times bestseller list, or New York Times. If we're talking of dreams, then why not dream big and say New York Times? So I'd like to be a New York Times bestseller. Yeah.
Do you get a lot of feedback from your readers?
Yes, I do, and most of it can be good and bad, which is okay. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. So I do get a lot of unsolicited criticism as well. But for the most part, I think readers have been absolutely amazing, lovely, and so supportive, uh, especially in the UK. So yeah, so I do love interacting with people. So I'm very responsive on my Twitter and my Instagram accounts, and I always interact with readers. It's so much fun. Yeah.
So what do you like to do when you're not writing?
Oh God, when I'm not writing, I'm reading. It's a very boring answer, I know, but I do like watching television as well. God, I sound like such a lazy person for some reason. Yeah, but that's what I do in Pakistan. There's not much to do here because half the year it's so hot. It's like over 40 degrees outside, so you can't do any outdoor activity at all. And But when I'm in London, though, what I'd like to do is that I love to explore and walk around and maybe sit in my favorite cafe. And now I'm not going to speak any more of London because then, I'm just going to start weeping right now. So, but yeah, I mean, to answer your question, if I'm not writing, I'll either be reading or I'll be watching TV shows.
What sort of thing do you like to watch?
I love fantasy. I just finished watching Shadow and Bone, and I absolutely loved it. I've read the books as well, so it was like so that's, I think that made it even better. But I like to watch anything at all, as long as it's a TV show and it's good enough. So I'll watch anything. But fantasy is like definitely my weakness, I'd say. So yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh, most embarrassing thing. Uh, I think it was very embarrassing that once in London, what happened was that I sort of stopped a celebrity. And they were very rude to me. I stopped them to get their autograph, and they were like, they looked at me as if I didn't even exist, and they were like, "What is wrong with you?" I think that was very embarrassing for me. And I was like, I wasn't even thinking at that time. I think it was 2017 or something. I wasn't even represented at that time. It was just a very fan moment of sorts, but I sort of regret it because, celebrities like us, they're also humans and sometimes they're having a bad day or something. So I think that was pretty embarrassing.
If I was to ask those closest to you what your most annoying habits are, what would they say?
Oh, wow. They'll say that my most annoying habit is that I like to sort of you'll find it very funny, but I love to sort of mimic dialogues from movies and TV shows. So I like to mimic. So I'm always either sort of with Harry Potter dialogue. So I'll either be reciting something that Dumbledore said. The other day I was talking. I think I was mimicking Mulan or something. So it's like it's really crazy, and it drives my family absolutely nuts. They're like, you're absolutely, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I just can't help it. I just, to break the monotony of the day, I like to do that. I like to sort of say my favorite dialogues out loud. So yeah, mostly it's Harry Potter. So I always find something to say when it comes to Harry Potter. So yeah, so yeah, I think that would be my most annoying habit.
Do you have any phobias and would you write about them?
My phobia. I do have a phobia of lizards. I can't stand them. Even if I see a lizard, and we see plenty of them in Pakistan because it's very warm, and whenever it's summer, they're like out in huge numbers. So I just have that really. So I can't even write about lizards. I have a real phobia of lizards, and I think of rats as well. So they're the two things that are in a lot of they're here like a lot. So so you can probably imagine me screaming my head off half the time when I'm in Pakistan.
I
So,
wasn't, but I am now, and it's quite amusing. I
yeah.
can imagine it's quite a high-pitched, girly scream as well. So
I don't know. I don't know. I think I should record it someday. But yeah, I wouldn't say that it's very girly, but yeah, somewhat, I guess. Yeah.
I'm not going to test it. Don't worry. I
No,
mean, we
no, no,
don't
no.
really.
I'm not gonna scream for the record either.
No, that's fine. I'll wait to do it till we're in person, just so that I can really experience.
Yeah, you'll have to throw a lizard at me in order to get that because otherwise I'm not doing it.
I don't think we really have them here unless they're pets. I don't know. It's
I've
not
never,
really. I don't. Not something I
I've
know
never
about.
seen yeah, I've never seen a lizard in London at all. We have them a lot here in Pakistan. So yeah.
Yeah, we have rats though. I could chuck a rat at you.
Yeah, then you'll get a nice good scream out of me.
Unfortunately, I would also be screaming because.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your most treasured possession?
Oh, my precious possession. I think it'll be my books. I'm like literally, my family is like, if something ever happens to, like, if there's a fire warning or something, what will happen to you? I'm like, I'll probably be trying to save as many books as I can. So yeah, I think my books are definitely my most prized possession, and it's like the work of a lifetime. And I've been collecting books as long as I can remember. I think I have around 4,000 books now. So yeah, so they're my prized possession.
Yeah, I didn't realize that I was going to collect signed books until I started to get lots. I started off with one. I thought that's all right. I could save that in a fire. Now I think I have 60. There's no chance I'm going to save all them, but I would
No,
try if anything
well,
happened to them.
well, you can say that you'll soon have 61 because I'm going to send you a signed one as well, so you can add that to your collection.
So are you working on anything at the moment?
Oh yeah, so I have actually written a YA trilogy, which is very it's very strange because it's not my genre at all. So it's a dystopian young adult trilogy, and it's set in Canada, but since it's dystopian, it's basically something that was Canada in the past. So yeah, so it's really strange. But I've written part one, and I'm actually writing part two at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. I'm also under contract to write a second book for Orinda, and I have to start writing that this year as well. So yeah, so I'm thinking about that as well. So I have some ideas that I've discussed with my agent. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Do you plot your books or do you just write and see where it goes?
I sort of try to plan stuff. But I've seen that no matter how much I plan, it's the moment just takes over, and whatever I'm feeling at that moment, I just end up writing that. So all my sort of plans sort of come to no good. So I just try to take it by the ear now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's more fun anyway. I definitely couldn't plot. I don't think I'd get bored and never write it. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
um, how do you decide character names?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. I think it's when I'm writing, especially for Pakistan, it has to be, yeah, it has to be very carefully thought out because some names are very much in fashion these days. Other names are very old fashioned. So you have to be very careful about the kind of name you choose for a particular character. So yeah, I think I put in a lot of thought. So it's not like I'll just name people after after my family members or something. It's just that I do put a lot of thought into it, and it's kind of like a research project of sorts. Yeah.
Do you have more trouble deciding character names or the title of the book?
Ah, Fortunately, what happens is that I think I have more trouble with the names of my characters because what happens is that the name of the title of the book is basically changed by the publisher in any case. So it's kind of like no matter what you do, I mean, within the Company of Strangers, it didn't happen. The publisher went with the title I had finalized because they loved it, but with No Honor, it was initially called something else, and they changed it to No Honor, and I was like, no, it's totally your decision, go ahead and do that. I'm totally fine with it because obviously it's their they know the market better than us, and they know their thing. So yeah.
So, remind us again when No One is coming out.
Yeah, so No Honor is out in ebook on June 19th, and in paperback it's out on August 19th. So you should be able to get it from all the usual places like Waterstones, Amazon, Blackwells, and I know for a fact that people in Ireland can get it from Easons and Dubre Books. So yeah, so it's kind of like available everywhere. And thankfully, it's also available in Pakistan. So I just heard back from my favorite bookshops in Lahore, and they've all ordered stock. So I'm really happy that they'll have copies of No Honor as well. So,
Oh, brilliant. Well, I
yeah.
don't think I have any more questions for you unless you think there's anything that I haven't asked you that you want to tell us.
Well, you've been incredibly kind, Donna, and I'm really glad that you didn't make it hard for me because you are known to ask this occasional tricky question sometimes. So yeah, so I'm really thankful, very grateful that you made it a very easy, breezy interview, and yeah, I'm very incredibly grateful to you for taking out some time for me from your busy schedule, and it was so nice to talk to you and so nice to see you in the flesh finally because obviously I've heard so much about you. I'd heard so much about you, and it's always nice to and I always make sure that I watch your interviews. So yeah, so it's kind of like meeting someone that you've been a fan of for a very long time. So it's kind of like that. It's a celebrity move.
Okay. That's weird, but okay, thank you. I think. Um,
So,
so before we go, do you just want to tell everyone where they can find you or find out more about you?
of course. So people can find me on social media. I am Awais Khan author, Awais Khan author, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. So I have the same handle for all three accounts. You can also contact me at www.thewritinginstitute.net, or you can contact me at the Writing Institute on Instagram or Facebook. So I'm pretty much everywhere. So you can find me anywhere. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Donna.